Hello and welcome to another edition of As the Blade Turns, the late night, the official report is out edition. My name is Dave Leese and I'm going to be updating you on the Kamila Valieva doping situation that is taking place at the 2022 Olympic Winter Games. For those of you who are new here, please subscribe below and smash that like button. Well, for days, we have been in limbo as we have heard that this is a legal matter from the International Olympic Committee. Well, today we finally have official word from the International Testing Agency, ITA, leading the anti-doping program for the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022, informs about the case of figure skater Kamila Valieva. First, the ITA stresses that Ms. Kamila Valieva, a member of the Russian Olympic Committee (ROC) delegation in Beijing, is a minor and therefore a protected person under the World Anti-Doping Code. This status applies to persons under the age of 16. As such, the parties are not subject to mandatory public disclosure of her name or any case she might be involved in. Instead, any public disclosure must be proportionate to the facts and circumstances of the case. Seeing that some in the media did not grant her the same protection and have reported widely on the basis of unofficial information following the postponement of the medal ceremony of the figure skating team event at the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022, the IT acknowledges the necessity for official information due to heightened public interest. First of all, a Russian paper was the first one to actually release Kamila Valieva's name. Let's just get that right out here. It was during the Olympics, and you waited several days. So this whole woe is me attitude of the ITA is quite amazing, and we're only finding this out because of the public pressure that has been applied by the media making this so public. If the media did not report on the information as they found out, doing actual journalism, which is their duty, as opposed to just official statements and getting confirmation, we would have never actually learned about this. So when you were reading the comments about people, how they shouldn't be reporting on this, they shouldn't be covering it, if they didn't cover it, this report would never see the light of day. To state the facts chronologically, a sample from the athlete was collected under the Testing Authority and Results Management Authority of the Russian anti-doping agency RUSADA on the 25th of December 2021 during the 2022 Russian Figure Skating Championships in St. Petersburg, Russia. The WADA-accredited laboratory of Stockholm, Sweden, reported that the sample had returned an adverse analytical finding, AAF, for the non-specified prohibited substance trimetazidine, classified as S4, hormone and metabolic modulators, according to the prohibited list of the World Anti-Doping Code on the 8th of February 2022. Following this, the athlete was provisionally suspended by RUSADA with immediate effect. It's very important to note that why did it take approximately 6 weeks to get the result back? That is not something that we have answers to. I would certainly be interested in having the Christine Brennans of the world press to find out why it takes so long to get these results. When was RUSADA first notified? When did everyone first find out? Were there discussions that were happening behind the scenes? If you read Grigory Rodchenkov's book, it certainly would appear that they would have found out sooner than the 8th of February. Pursuant to Article 15 of the IOC anti-doping rules applicable to the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022, the decision of RUSADA imposing a provisional suspension automatically prohibited the athlete from participation in all sports during the provisional suspension, including the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022. So RUSADA then had to provisionally suspend her. As the sample was collected by RUSADA ahead of the Winter Games, this case is not under the jurisdiction of the IOC and thus not directly managed by the ITA. In line with the IOC anti-doping rules, the ITA immediately informed the athlete that the provisional suspension imposed on her by RUSADA is binding upon the IOC, and the athlete is prevented from competing, training, coaching, or participating in any activity during the Olympic Winter Games. This is why it was so important that they had her out practicing in front of the cameras yesterday. Due to the fact that this is not a case under the authority of the IOC, and taking into account her above-mentioned status as a protected person, the ITA abstained from publicly disclosing the case following the notification in order to protect the athlete's identity as a minor and to ensure that all necessary measures for her physical and mental safeguarding could be implemented. All the while, all due legal processes were initiated. The athlete challenged the imposition of the provisional suspension before the RUSADA Disciplinary Anti-Doping Committee on the 9th of February 2022, and a hearing took place on the same day. On the evening of February 9th, 2022, the RUSADA Disciplinary Anti-Doping Committee decided to lift the athlete's provisional suspension. So they suspended her and then lifted it. And was she even present at these hearings? We would love to know. Thus allowing her to continue her participation in the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022. Given that RUSADA has had so many scandals, one has to wonder if they even took any of this seriously, or if this was all paperwork and checking the boxes. The reasoned decision, including the grounds for which the provisional suspension was lifted, will be issued shortly to all concerned parties. Under the World Anti-Doping Code, the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA, the International Skating Union ISU, RUSADA, and the IOC have a right to appeal the decision to lift the provisional suspension before the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. The IOC will exercise its right to appeal and not to wait for the reasoned decision by RUSADA, because a decision is needed before the next competition the athlete is due to take part in, women's single skating, which begins on the 15th of February 2022. Following the delegation of the IOC's anti-doping program in relation to the Olympic Games to the ITA will lead the appeal before CAS on behalf of the IOC. The proceedings on the merits of the apparent anti-doping rule violation, including the athlete's right to request the analysis of the B sample, will be pursued by RUSADA in due course. So they're saying that the B sample hasn't actually been tested yet. The decision on the results of the ROC team in the team figure skating event can be taken by the ISU only after a final decision on the full merits of the case has been taken. The procedure, which is initiated currently, can only address the provisional suspension. So in this case, the IOC is really supplanting the ISU, which awarded a Terry Tudbariza as Coach of the Year recently. Given that the legal process for this case is not finally concluded, the ITA will not provide any additional comments. Any further information on the case will be issued in the form of a public statement. So no one is talking. The IOC isn't talking because it's a legal matter, although we do have word from the ITA about this. Christine Brennan did give some common sense clarification. She got clarification from the IOC's Mark Adams. He was the very nervous spokesperson, press attaché of the IOC the other night when they were supposed to issue a statement and said absolutely nothing. Here's what he says is happening in Valieva's case. The IOC hopes to win appeal against Russia, letting her practice and compete. Then Russia would go to CAS to appeal that ruling, and CAS would be forced to rule on the entire merits of the case. So CAS will essentially determine whether or not Kamila Valieva is able to compete at the Olympic Games. So this is going to be extremely interesting over the next week, but it's important to note that she is not allowed to practice under the provisional suspension. According to WADA Code and ISU rules, Kamila Valieva should not be practicing, said USADA's Travis Tigert. There is no minor exception for a provisional suspension. It has to be implemented. It's a substance that requires a provisional suspension, and her practicing is a violation. Christine Brennan also has an article that has been updated. As various international organizations work their way through the investigation of the positive drug test of a member of the gold medal winning Russian figure skating team, a medal ceremony doesn't appear imminent and might not even happen before the Olympics end, a person with a knowledge of the situation told USA Today Sports. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the situation. The goal of the organizations is that a medal ceremony for the team figure skating competition would occur during the games, but officials do not want to rush as the process plays out and risk rewarding a result that might change during an appeals process. The ceremony has been delayed by the positive drug test of a member of the gold medal winning Russian team, and officials have been told that the athlete who tested positive is a minor. The only minor of the 6-person Russian team that won the gold was Kamila Valieva, 15, the gold medal favorite in the women's competition to be held next week. The International Olympic Committee controls the medal ceremony but isn't in charge of the inquiry into the doping violation, the person said. That appears to be some confusion about exactly who is in control of that. The International Testing Authority, well, we now know that this is actually who is in charge of this, manages the independent anti-doping program at the Olympics, the International Skating Union, which is the worldwide governing body for figure skating, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which is on location at the Games. Further complicating matters is Valieva's age. Because she is a minor, there is concern about the possible involvement of her coach or other adults in her doping, the person said. No shit. Punishment could result in her suspension and disqualification from the Olympics, but it's also possible that Valieva could be reprimanded rather than disqualified because she is a minor and if she is found to not have acted in a negligent manner. If she were not to be disqualified from the Games, it is within the realm of possibility that not only would she be allowed to compete in the women's event, but also the results of the team competition would remain the same, and the ROC would keep its gold medal, with the United States getting the silver and Japan the bronze. If Valieva is banned, it is believed that the US would win the gold, followed by Japan with the silver, and Canada moving up from 4th place to win the bronze. So it does seem that there will be more movement on this throughout the week, but we finally have official information about the Kamila Valieva doping case. So for all of those who say there is no official information, it's interesting as the information that came out matches the information that had been leaked to the press before. Interesting. We'll be following this. Good night.